A signal.
Give them the high sign.
All right, we're live. Sweet. Thanks, Russell. So hi, everybody. I'm Aaron Kasten with IDEAA, International Developer Education and Advocacy Alliance. We've got Nextbit here with us this evening. We're going to do a quick interview with them, and then we've got the Android Central guys, Russell Hawley, contributing editor at Android Central, and Andrew Martinick. I didn't get your role before we introed you, so what's your role, Andrew?
I'm technically the West Coast editor.
West Coast editor. Awesome. From Nextbit, we've got Mike is the CTO. He's over to the right side, I guess. Video is always inverted. So, then we've got Tom, the CEO, in the middle, and Scott, product and design, on the left. So I let Russell jump in and kind of take it away with questions. If you have any questions and you're watching and you'd like to ask them, post them in the comments. And if it's something we have time to get to, we'll ask it. So take it away, Russell.
Yay, I will take it away.
Hey, Russell. How's it going?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing great.
All right, so I guess we should start off for everyone that's watching and just kind of give a basic rundown of Nextbit. Because there's a lot of new smartphone companies out there with a lot of cool ideas, so just kind of give us a rundown of what makes Nextbit special.
Sure. So I think what's unique about us is that we really wanted to do something that would move things forward, both in terms of software and hardware. Right? We didn't want to just make another. We have an adjective we use here, YAP, yet another Android phone, YAAP. Right, and that's not something that's interesting to us. We didn't do this just for the sake of doing it. We started Nextbit because we really felt like, the technology existed for people to push things forward. Right, we could actually leverage cloud, for example, at a fundamental level to actually allow phones to perform better than their hardware specs would otherwise enable. And we felt like we could actually do interesting things in terms of the hardware with Scott's help, in terms of how it looks, but also in terms of the business model going direct to consumers. And so, we're not in this just to be another phone in the sea of other phones. We're in this to really try and push things forward, right, as an industry. We really think that nothing really amazing has happened at the operating system level in the last 4 or 5 years. What you can basically do with your phone today is what you could do with your phone 4 or 5 years ago. And we think technology exists to actually do things that are a lot more interesting, and we want to do that.
Yeah, what he said.
Times two. Nice. And now Mike will explain technically how we do that next.
So the first effort to make this vision come true is the Robin, which I see Scott is holding. Can you talk a little bit about how you came to that final design? Because you've got some kind of bright colors, very sharp angles from all the pictures that I've seen. I've actually yet to hold one myself. And Scott, I understand that that's mostly your fault.
Yeah, exactly. Love it or hate it, you can blame me. Well, I've worked on a lot of phones in my career. For those who don't know, I used to be at HTC for about 7 years, where I ran the industrial design team, and then for the last 3 years, I also managed the user experience team. And I think, since the M7 came out, and then Apple kind of copied that full unibody, and now everybody is kind of actually all take the kind of general execution level, meaning people can do machined aluminum, they can do the zero gap construction. What that's meant is that generally the execution quality has gone up, but it's led to kind of a sea of sameness that's out there. And so, you put an iPhone out, you put all the Android phones out on the table, nothing really jumps out, nothing really kind of jumps out to you. And it's not just color, but it's also in terms of like, hey, we're going to round the corners off, we're going to do a lofted back, we're going to do the antenna structure like what Apple and HTC are doing. So it just kind of is left kind of like a, I don't know, just kind of a sense of blandness that's out there. And so when we started the process, we've all been in Android almost our whole career, or at least the last decade. Or I guess Android hadn't been around that long, but the last 7 or 8 years. I think having been in Android for such a long time and being Android enthusiasts ourselves, we wanted something that we wanted to carry around. We wanted something that really kind of represented kind of our values, and that meant that we wanted a great spec, we wanted a great price, and we wanted a design that really stood out. Something that you could be at a table and people be like, oh, you've got the latest, you've got that phone that doesn't ever run out of space. And so from a design perspective, I really wanted design cues that felt very premium, but didn't kind of use the traditional kind of just tricks of the trade where hey, we're going to put a chamfer on to make it a little bit more shiny. If we brush this surface, that'll make it feel a little more value. The premium nature of Robin comes down to the way we've reduced the details, down to the fact that, you've got a square screen, you have a square phone. Now, we have radii on there, so it actually feels really terrific in the hand. It actually doesn't feel hard to hold, contrary to what some people believe. It actually feels really terrific. And people that actually have held the phone, they grow to love that phone. I know, Aaron, when I met you in Vegas, you were kind of like, oh, it feels better than I thought it would. That's cool.
You totally changed my mind, honestly. Like when I saw it, I got to see it. I'm not currently a backer. I'll just go ahead and say that. But when I got to see it and play with it, and see you told me about the fingerprint scanner. Like, yeah, I seriously considering it. I've already got one of the coworkers has backed it. So,
Cool.
yeah, you've changed my opinion. It felt really great in the hand. I loved the kind of hard edges rather than everything, like you said, is curved edges now. I kind of liked the more defined edge to it, where you could tell you were holding it, right? Like it didn't feel like it was just going to fly out of your hand.
Yeah, that's right. And then I think from a design detail, so okay, you start with the idea that it's a box. Now you actually have to give it some character, and you have to start giving it some flavor. And so when you look at the dual front-facing speakers, having that soft depression, that just actually starts to make it feel a little bit more approachable. And then you start you're like, oh, you know what? We could have this. We're just kind of treating the front-facing camera and the front-facing sensors in a very kind of the same circle size. You go into the back surface, same thing on the back, but you actually start to see this repeated motif where you see the circle details on the front, on the back, on the side when you hit the volume buttons, and all of a sudden you start to have this kind of thing that actually starts to feel, I wouldn't call it playful, but it definitely feels very approachable. It does not feel severe. Even when you look at the midnight color, it doesn't feel severe. And then looking at some other details that kind of make it unique, like we have the USB Type-C on the back. You mentioned the integrated power button and fingerprint sensor on the side, which for us kind of made sense. We didn't want it down low because that felt like it was a little bit awkward. We wanted it actually where you kind of typically power on your phone, which was higher for us. It's not low like it is on some other phones where you wake it up. So you just pop the button, you hold your finger there, and it logs in. Have these cloud LEDs on the back, which is really just a tool for us to communicate to people on here's how the technology works. Like when we're synchronizing your apps and your photos on those LEDs light up. So just kind of coming up with these kind of all these themes that kind of not only help the phone stand out, but then help us actually communicate our values as a company and the things we think are important.
Cool. Now, Andrew, you actually used this for a couple minutes recently as well. Do you have anything about your experience with the prototype that you used that you wanted to add to this?
I mean, I have to say that the mint color, the light blue color, is just as beautiful as it looks in like the renders and the press photos that Nextbit has out. It's a little, I mean, I don't think that everybody is going to want to go bold with that, and that's why they have the midnight version, the darker one. But the white and mint one, it just adds to that that very, very unique design that Scott was talking about, because you just don't see phones with color like that all that often, and you add that to all the other design elements, and it really does stand out really, really nicely.
Even with the Andrew, we have the mint phone, but even on the midnight one, we wanted to bring just a little splash of color. So even as we kind of like look at that fingerprint sensor and bring a little bit of that kind of playfulness through, it still feels you can feel very conservative with it. Hey, you know what? I'm not that expressive as a person, so I want something a little bit more sedate. But then you can have a few elements that still kind of bring forward that kind of playfulness and that approachability.
I love the blue accents on the midnight phone. It's beautiful.
And it pulls into the software as well. The software has got that color throughout as well. So even if you have the black phone, you turn it on and you can have those colors. It's just kind of neat as well.
Yeah.
That's
right. Nice.
All right. Well, every time, a big focus for you guys is cloud storage, and how the cloud is, a constant internet connection is functioning with the phone in kind of a unique way. But every time someone mentions the cloud when it comes to mobile phones right now, there's this kind of immediate concern for privacy. I was hoping you guys could talk for a minute about who you're working with for the service provider for Nextbit Cloud, and how you guys envision that working at launch.
Yeah, so we are partnered with Amazon. We actually run all of our infrastructure on AWS. and privacy and security is a very important thing for us. So, when there are new security updates to your Android devices, we're going to bring those to market super fast, just like a lot of the current big players out there have kind of committed. And we allow Google login, so you can sign with your Google account. If you want to enable two-factor authentication, you can enable that as well. For data, we ensure that all your data is encrypted in transit, and we ensure that it's encrypted at rest, right? So what you'd expect out of your best practices. We're also working with an external firm to go through a security audit to make sure that we are up to snuff before launch.
Nice.
Cool. Now, a big part of how this works, and correct me if I don't say it correctly, when apps are not functioning, when they haven't been activated for a while on the Nextbit Robin, they're actually going to be almost uninstalled and kind of backed up to the Nextbit cloud. Did I explain that correctly?
Yeah, I think it's actually not so much based on not using them for a long time. We really actually only take stuff off the phone or downsample your local copy of photo when you actually start running out of space. So it really depends on each user and kind of their ability. But you're right in the sense that when actually you start running out of space on your phone, we'll actually look at your usage patterns and adapt to how you use your phone. So if you haven't traveled anywhere, say in like 6 months, and you haven't opened your United Airlines app, hey, we can look at that and say, oh, that's a pretty good one to offload. Now we leave behind a shadow icon behind, so it still looks like it's on the phone, but it's not really, just like you said. And when you need it, you just tap the icon, it downloads the APK, it reinstalls, hooks back up the credentials, and it's like you've never removed it from the phone.
So that sounds like a cool idea, but I had a lot of questions about how specifically that would work, because you brought up a travel app, and one of the things that struck me as kind of interesting about that is that a lot of the travel apps that I use, they're particularly useful when I'm not connected to the internet. So that kind of brought up a functionality issue if there was going to be a way to kind of maybe pin things that are never backed up. But at the same time, when an app is pulled, what happens to that app when it's updated by the developer in the Play Store? Because the APK is kind of living elsewhere at that point, right?
Yep. So there's two questions there. One is about, hey, can I pin an app and never have it be or have it never be removed from the phone? Which you can do, and we'll show you a demo here in just a little while that kind of shows how that actually works. Yeah. And then, Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about the subsequent question?
Yeah, so for apps, when an app gets freed up on your device, when it gets offloaded, and you choose to bring it back, we actually make sure to bring back the same version that was offloaded. And we did this particularly because, as a user, when you choose to install an app or upgrade to a new version, the developer might have changed the terms of service or the permissions on the app. So it would not make sense. Let's say you haven't used Spotify in 9 months, and now if Spotify wants to read your SD card and you're not okay with that, we shouldn't put that version on your phone, right? You agreed to Spotify, version 2.0, which only had these permissions. So we make sure that the version of the app that you get back on your phone is the original version that you installed. But as always, once it's installed or once it's restored back on the device, you can choose to upgrade that version in Google Play, and then that'll get back there.
Yeah, would it be helpful actually for us to run the demo now, maybe, just to give you an overview of how the whole system works?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, we're going to switch cameras.
That's Alistair there, whose face you're seeing.
I'm going to do my best because there's going to be an audio version of this, so I'm going to try and explain what we're seeing as well.
Okay, and Mike will narrate.
Yeah,
All right, we'll see how the camera magic works when it switches here.
It's interesting. So it sounds like there's a lot less of the removing things from your phone and using cloud backups than kind of what I originally thought, which I think is good.
I mean, the idea is that the phone will work, it doesn't have a reliance on the cloud as much as the cloud just kind of helps blur the line, or the way that the system integrates it helps blur the line between what's up there and what's local, which I think makes a lot of sense. And when I looked at the demo of it, it was seamless in that way. It wasn't so much push and pull things like, okay, I don't want this anymore, throw it up there. It just, like Scott was saying, adapts and responds to if you haven't used something and you're running out of space,
Hey, we have a
then you
phone.
don't have to worry about it.
Phone.
All right, we got a phone. So I've got my Nexus 5 here that's running a beta version of our software that you will expect on Robin. And I've been using this phone for about 10 months. So let's turn it on. And what you're seeing here is Lollipop 5.1.1. We've already started working on porting to M. So you guys should have some pretty good news on that hopefully soon. But let's take a look at my apps here. And I've got my phone, I've got a bunch of apps. I've been using it for about 10 months. I'm running out of space. And you'll notice Spotify and TED look a little bit different. So for those of you who are on the audio-only tour, you have your home screen and two icons, Spotify and TED. They are shadow icons. The icons are grayed out. They're slightly translucent. And the reason for this is because my phone's running out of space. I haven't used these two apps in 8 months. And this is what Robin did, right? My phone freed up some space. So, but let's just say that today someone tells me, hey, Mike, there's this really great promotion on Spotify. You have to check it out. So all I need to do is simply tap on the Spotify icon right here, and I'm going to do that. And you're going to notice that as Spotify downloads, you're going to see a download progress bar on your home screen. You're going to see the icon color start to saturate in, and you can see a little blinking light as Spotify installs. Now, as Scott mentioned earlier, and as probably a lot of our users, and Russell mentioned earlier as well, you can pin your applications. You can click on the little Fab button here, and you'll notice there's a pin icon and a little cloud icon. So for those of you who can't see this, in material design they introduced the Fab, which is kind of a new design paradigm for software, and we've introduced that in the launcher as well, so you can always get access to your apps that are in the cloud, see which apps have been offloaded, and see which apps you've chosen to pin. So you can always pin your apps on your device in case you don't want them offloaded. And now the Spotify is restored, I will simply tap and launch Spotify, and what you're going to notice is I didn't have to type in my username or password again, right? I was able to pick up exactly where I left off 8 months ago. And there's another case I'm going to show is we've all been in a scenario, or we all know someone that their phone is pretty full and you go take a video or a picture. So I'm simply going to start taking a video here with our camera application. I'm going to film a 30-second video, and oops, while I start that, and this is going to be a pretty boring video for everyone here. But so normally when your phone's out of space and you go to film a video, you're going to get an error message, right? Insufficient storage, and you've lost that moment. And I'm just going to, I'm 15 seconds in, and what your phone's going to do now, what Robin does, is because it intelligently adapts to you, it actually knows right then and there you're trying to film a video, and it knows what apps are important to you right at that moment, and it actually won't surface that error message to you. It's actually going to free up space on the device based off of how I've used it previously. So the longer I use Robin, the more I use it, the more intelligent it gets. So I filmed some video, and I didn't get any error messages. I will go back to my home screen, and the home screen looks a little bit different now. In particular, for those of you also on the audio tour, Netflix and Pandora are now shadow icons, right? So because I haven't used Netflix in several months, and I haven't used Pandora either, in order to free up space, we've offloaded those applications on the device. Now, when we say offload, what's really happening is we're just simply freeing up space right now. We're not actually uploading data, because what we do is we will intelligently synchronize your apps when you are plugged in and when you're on Wi-Fi, right? So if you think about your kind of daily routine, you charge your phone every night, you probably have Wi-Fi at home, maybe you have Wi-Fi at work. That's when we take the opportunity to really synchronize your data, and we want to make sure that we don't eat into your data plan or drain your battery, right? So we really want to use the cloud to supplement your device, not hurt it. The next thing I'm going to show you is like images. What happens about images if they've been moved off into the cloud? And because we do this at the operating system level, I'm just going to open up Gmail and simply go to attach file. Now normally if I want to get to an image that's in Dropbox or SugarSync, I have to open up that app. But now I just have to attach any image as if I were to do it normally. So open up Gmail, go to Recents. I've got this great little picture of one of our developers' dogs, and a sheep. And you'll notice that what happened was I attached the image was actually not on my device, and instead we actually fetched the high-resolution image from the cloud, attached it to Gmail, super seamless interaction. Now, if I were on a tiered data plan or LTE connection, we'll prompt the user and ask them if you want to download this image, or you can use a locally cached version, and we use a screen resolution as a locally cached. But that's kind of a basic rundown of the software experience. Also, you guys can sort of see this on the Kickstarter page. I think there's several YouTube videos out there if you're just really curious. But yeah, any questions, concerns?
I was impressed how quickly the photo loaded.
Yeah, well, I mean, the photo is it's a 1.1 megabyte image, and we are on Wi-Fi here, so.
Right. Yeah, it's still fast. It's like, I mean, you clicked it; it was instantaneous, basically.
Yeah, and, so the point is, I think there's been a lot of legacy. I think we all have kind of preconceived notions now of what cloud storage is, right? And it's these solutions like Dropbox or Google Drive, and those are really legacy era storage solutions, right? Those are essentially the idea of I either want to synchronize files so that I can access them, like my work, Word documents on my phone or on my home PC. It either solves that problem or it's literally just an extra storage locker or a backup locker in the cloud. What we're doing with Robin is we really want to push things forward, like to that next generation where it's like, offline, I have 32 gigs, my phone is normal and everything like that. But when I'm connected online, it's as if I have inserted 100 gigabyte, gigabyte, memory card into my phone seamlessly, and that just becomes the local storage, right? It's all right there. I can interact with it normally, and I can see it normally. And because of the way we do it, where we just back up surreptitiously whenever you're on Wi-Fi, and then to offload stuff, we don't even use the wire. The data footprint for Android, for our Robin, will actually look virtually identical to a data footprint from any other Android phone, right? We're not going to do anything that's going to take up, like Mike said, your data plan or drain your battery. So we're being really thoughtful about it, but we do want to move things forward a little bit, to that future where you just have all your stuff available to you on any kind of smart device that you authenticate to, right? It is kind of trying to move in that direction that we all know is coming, but nobody really seems to be making a big effort to push forward.
I think also philosophically, just the idea is that you just use your phone like you've always used it. You don't have to think about this kind of active management. You don't have to go in, like when you actually lose that moment, I got to go delete some apps, I got to do some photos, I got to push some stuff up to the cloud, I've got to make a lot of decisions. You don't have to worry about that. We can help that situation out. So I think philosophically for people, you just keep using your phone like you've always used it.
Yeah, my sister was here earlier and actually was complaining that she had no space on her 2-year-old phone and like couldn't install Slack, which is what we were using for chat, because she had to remove other things. And so I'm definitely going to be recommending the Robin for her. It seems like a good fit.
Awesome.
We see a lot of interest, I think, from iPhone users, which is strangely enough, and I think it's because of that message. There's a number of 8 gigabyte or 16 gigabyte iPhones out there. Honestly, they're a feature phone in 3 months, and Apple just announced last week that they're still doing one. Yeah. So there is, I think, a big opportunity to actually bring some people back to Android, which is a great platform, obviously.
Yeah. Cool.
My last question for the night. You guys are going to be at the Big Android BBQ showing off the Nextbit Robin. Hopefully, the big question there was people who are going to the event, are they going to get a chance to play with one themselves and take a look at some of the stuff that we've looked at tonight?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. People will be able to do hands-on time.
In fact, by that point, I know we're showing the demo right now on the Nexus 5, but that should be, the plan is to have that running on Robin by that point. So that's
awesome.
It's my guy to commit to make.
Come on.
No pressure or anything, man. No pressure.
I'm gonna go back to work right now.
Yeah, Scott should have probably hashed that out before he came on here. The bus.
No, we're hoping that's the case.
How many days do I have?
You guys know just reschedule the barbecue, right?
Sure. what works best for you guys? Like,
well, let's go like 24 or 48 hours before, so you have plenty of time.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll just let the attendees know. They don't mind.
Cool.
They're all cool with it. Yeah. Nice. Cool. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Any last things? We did get one question. I think it was a misunderstanding. They thought we were demoing an app. This was actually a phone operating system and a phone we were looking at.
So it's way deeper than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a
Much
platform
more
level
than that.
thing or full integration. I did get separately another question, which I don't think you guys can actually answer, but I'll ask anyway. For things, kind of like long-term future plans for setups like Google's Project Fi, is that something you guys are looking at for the future?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of transitions in the industry right now that are going to come up. I think all the Android OEMs are about to face, or already have been facing, serious upheavals. There's a lot of interesting activity in MVNO space internationally, right? Xiaomi just announced something in China. There's a lot of activity in Japan, and of course things like Project Fi. So to the extent we have nothing to announce, but to the extent Google opens that up to more partnerships, it's definitely something we're going to talk to them about. We have a pretty good relationship with the home team that we've maintained. The thing about what we're doing is we're still, we're committed 100% to being a good player in the ecosystem, right? And to keep those relationships good and to actually, add things that we think aren't being addressed by other players, not just try and reinvent things that already exist, right? In order to try and differentiate that way, right? So yes, those are definitely things that we're going to be looking towards as Google opens that up.
All right.
Nice. I think that goes
Wonderful.
along. I was going to ask what the future was for Nextbit, but I think that kind of covers it. So.
Well, actually, so specific. One of the cool things about Kickstarter and kind of the company that we want to run is that we want to have a two-way conversation with people, not just a one-way. I mean, Tom always likes to say, like, the era of you make a widget, you have a pretty person holding the widget on the television screen. We all watch that and think, oh, I'm going to be hanging out with that pretty person, or I'm going to be beautiful if I buy that widget. We think that in the world that we live in now, where consumers or people they're so knowledgeable, not just people that are going to Big Android Bar Review, but everybody. You look at the popularity of the tech blogs kind of across the board. We think there's a great opportunity to kind of have a two-way conversation as opposed to a one-way conversation. So, just during Kickstarter, we're finding out, it seems obvious that we should have thought of this, but yes, we had a lot of demand around Verizon, about supporting Verizon, and so kind of going back and actually making sure that we're doing a Verizon SKU. But we also hear stuff like, hey, you know what, help me have better battery life, not just a bigger battery, but can you do something there with the cloud? Can you make my photos better using the cloud? So there's lots of, can you make the phone setup better using the cloud? So we think that there's obviously a lot, we have a long roadmap of things that we want to do, and we can start working on, but having that two-way conversation really helps us prioritize kind of what we should be doing.
So tell us real quick before we adjourn, where do you get the Nextbit? When can people expect maybe it to start shipping? Give us the...
So right now I think there's 8 days left on the Kickstarter campaign. So it's not too late to become a backer and make sure you're one of the first to get the devices. So we'll start shipping to the early birds. Will get their phones in January. Everybody else will get their phones in February. They will, of course, try to make...
When you say early birds, we're actually hoping to ship every Kickstarter backer a phone in January.
We are.
Not just the early bird tier.
That's true. All right. Yeah. But we haven't publicly said that before, but yes.
Nice.
Jeez, Scott's on a roll today.
So we want to under-promise, not over-deliver, but that went out the window. So yes, we'll actually try and get everybody on Kickstarter their phones in January, and we think we can do it, but
we can't commit to it.
We don't want to commit to it.
That's right.
So worst case, back to Kickstarter again in February, and then that's when it'll also be available to the general public, right? We'll have it directly on our e-commerce site as well as certain partnerships worldwide.
Awesome. Sounds like you have taken precautions to avoid the Kickstarter trap of overpromise, underdeliver, way overpromise, never deliver.
That said, this two-way relationship is really important. So we think you get there by being honest and by respecting your customer. If you don't do that, forget it. Nobody's going to engage with you in a conversation. And we have working EBTs already. We're working with Foxconn. They make every phone you've ever bought that you've loved. Or hated, for the most part.
They make the M7.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry. So except the M7. We are confident in our schedule, right? We waited on the Kickstarter. This wasn't like hey, we'll hopefully get it out. We have a schedule. Our manufacturer's locked in. We're moving forward. So far, at least, we're super confident in our original schedule.
So you kind of teased it earlier, but so you think maybe by Big Android BBQ we might see a close to production operating model, or
Version will it be? Is that
Still be EVT.
Still be EVT.
No, it'll still be EVT, which means we still have 3 major builds with Foxconn before we go to mass production. But what I was alluding to earlier was I'm hoping that we can get our working software off of the Nexus 5 and onto Robin.
awesome.
Right now we have it running, but it's super buggy and flaky, so it's not ready just yet.
Sure. Okay, so final question: what's the price?
So
Kickstarter and release, if you can.
At retail, it'll be $399, and at Kickstarter, if you get in early, it's $349. As in, get in the next 8 days, I guess. Before it'll be $349. You get $50 off of that.
Awesome.
Plus, you get a quick charger along with that.
Yeah, and very likely you'll get a T-shirt. We're about 30K away from that stretch goal as well.
Yeah.
So it's very likely that'll be part of it. And I think there's a full spec rundown on our Kickstarter, but obviously, for $399 you're actually getting a damn premium set of specs, right? It's Snapdragon 808. It's got megapixel rear, 5 megapixel front. It's got a PDAF on the back camera, fingerprint sensor embedded in the power button, USB Type-C, NFC, dual front-facing speakers with dual amps. Dual-tone flash,
100 gigs,
100 gigs,
cloud storage, lifetime of your phone. I mean, that's the lifetime of your phone.
And you guys, I think your readers will appreciate this. We mention this sometimes, but it gets lost because it's not really mainstream press. But it is also shipping with an unlocked bootloader, and we will honor your warranty no matter what you flash on it. Right?
Our audience definitely cares about that.
Yeah.
I believe that, right? So you can flash whatever you want, whatever experimental builds you want on this phone, and your warranty's good. Any problems with it, any manufacturing defects, anything's wrong with it, we take it back and honor that warranty. And we'll release everything we can to enable easy flashing and easy ROMing of our devices, as well as the unlocked bootloader. So that's a big thing for us.
What about your ROM on other devices? Is that something you've given some consideration to?
It's come up a lot in terms of questions recently. It's not in our immediate plans. Longer term, we definitely want to look into it, but for now...
It's tough to monetize that.
But for now, it's only on Robin. You gotta, at the end of the day, we want to make this whole product, right? It's fun. Mike and I, we were on the original 1.0 launch team at Google, and it was so amazing working on the G1 and getting it out there. And we left Google in 2010 to do a couple of software things, and it's really nice to get back and get back with Scott and do actual tangible hardware that people can touch and interact with. It's software is amazing. It's scalable. It's replicable. Everything's great about it. But having created something that somebody holds in their hands in the real world and you can see that, there's just nothing like it. So
it's awesome.
Products.
Well, congratulations. It's been fun watching the company kind of grow and develop over the last couple of years, seeing the thing with Cyanogen happen, and then now you've gotten to where you are now, and it's been really cool and fun to watch. And so I look forward to see what you do next and what the future holds for you, and look forward to hanging out at the Big Android BBQ. Pretty pumped about that.
Cool.
And maybe back in. I got 8 days to decide, make up my mind, huh?
It's only $349. You can't lose.
Yeah, that's a great price for. I mean, it's one of the best designed phones I think I've seen in a while. So congratulations to you, Scott, as well on that.
Well, thank you.
Russell, Andrew, any other questions before I adjourn this thing?
No, I think that's awesome. I think it gives everybody a good snapshot of what they need to know that maybe they wouldn't get just from reading through the Kickstarter page. It's great.
Cool. I think I covered all the questions that came in. Great questions from the people watching. Thank you for contributing as well. Thank you again to Nextbit. They'll be out at the Big Android BBQ October 22nd and 23rd. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be the best event we've ever put on. Can't wait for you guys to come out and see that. Nice. Russell will be there as well. Andrew, I think you're going to miss this one, unfortunately. Maybe. I'm going to convince you to come somehow.
Yeah, we'll see. You got time to work me over here.
Yeah. So... thank you, everybody who's watching and who's going to be listening later. Make sure you check us out, bigandroidbbq.com, IDEAA.io, we're the organizer of the event, Android Central for putting this on for us, and again, Nextbit for joining us. This is a great time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
Thanks.